Hi, everyone. I'm Ashton. I'm 15 years old. I have some really serious issues with my parents. Can a father be jealous of his own son? My dad is jealous of me because in just 4 months, I made as much money as he has in 10 years. And I'm making even more now. And what about mother? Mine is jealous of me because even though she tried to stop me, I still managed to become rich. It all started when my math teacher made an announcement. Guys, I see you all gaming all the time. I think you've played enough. How about you build your own game that others can play? Starting next month, I'm going to teach a mobile game coding class at the Coding Club. Anyone who joins will have made a game by the end of the course. You might think that I immediately jumped at the idea, but it wasn't like that because I have to admit that at that time, when someone said coder, all I could think of was a nerd with thick glasses and no friends. But this girl I had a crush on, Olivia, said, "That's a great idea. I'm definitely going to join." And I thought that maybe I was wrong about coders. If Olivia was taking the coding class, I would take it too, because I'd been looking for an opportunity to ask her out for months. The class would be a good way to spend more time with her. That evening at home, I told my parents about the course. I said, "My computer is really slow. If we can get a new laptop, I could code from anywhere." But my dad said, "You're going to write code? Son, don't get me wrong, but coding is for smart people. Don't waste your time." Which made me really angry. "Dad, what do you mean?" I yelled at him. And my mom said, "Ashton, don't you raise your voice. You think we have a money tree in the backyard? You can't expect us to waste money on ridiculous things like this." So she was with my dad on this. Arguing with them was useless. They had never taken me seriously. As usual, I was going to have to take care of this myself. When the course started, I realized that creating a game was much harder than I thought it would be. Still, I was happy to be spending time with Olivia. I hadn't told her how I felt about her yet, but we were getting along really well. We were chatting all the time. Then one day, she told me something that really hurt me. I had joined the coding class because of Olivia, and she had joined because of Kyle, the founder of the coding club. All she wanted was to get him to notice her. I was devastated when she confessed this to me, but of course, I couldn't say anything. One day in class, our math teacher said, "Guys, I have an idea which I think will motivate you. At the end of the course, we'll have a competition for the best game. All your classmates will vote for their favorite. The person whose game gets the most votes will get a prize." Kyle said, "I've been coding since I was 8 years old. I've already developed 3 games. It won't be fair to the others if I compete as well." But Olivia wasn't having it. "Kyle, please, you have to compete or the whole school will make fun of us. At least one good game should come out of this course." Kyle looked at her and said, "In that case, I'm in, but only because Olivia wants me to be." And Olivia blushed. Kyle and Olivia were flirting right in front of my eyes, and I was watching as if it were a soap opera. Suddenly, I had an idea. Would Olivia be impressed if I were the one who created the best game? Maybe she was just like my dad and thought coders were smart, and that's why she had a crush on Kyle. I was going to go for it. I had nothing to lose, and if I won the competition, maybe Olivia would like me. Of course, first I had to come up with a good idea for a game. Olivia loved the Japanese kawaii characters. She always wore clothes with kawaii cats or rabbits on them. If I built a game with those characters, I was sure she would love it. After I made the decision, I started to work literally day and night. One night, I was looking for something to eat in the fridge, and I accidentally dropped a bottle of milk. The noise woke up my dad. I'd gone back to my room to keep working when he came in. He started screaming. He asked me why I was still up at that hour. When I told him I was working on my game, he said, "So you're just wasting electricity?" and unplugged the computer. I was devastated because hours of work that I had put just disappeared. When my dad turned off the computer, the code I wrote that day was lost. But there was nothing I could do since in our house, my parents were in charge. They thought they could do whatever they wanted. After this incident, my parents began to harass me. Every time they saw me coding, they tried to do something to stop me. They were irritated with me when they should have been proud. I had no choice but to start working in the computer lab after school. One day, Kyle came up to me. When he saw the kawaii characters on the screen, he said, "I'm the best in the class, and it looks like you're the worst. Are you making a game for babies?" He was mocking me. Even though I tried to act cool, I was worried about what he had said. I love my game, but I've never shown it to anyone else. Maybe it's not as good as I think it is, I thought to myself. That night, I couldn't sleep because I was so upset. When we got to the end of the course, our math teacher said, "We're going to upload all your games to the app stores. Then we'll announce the competition to the school. Your friends will be able to download and play the games and vote for their favorites." I had done my best, but unfortunately, I wasn't very confident in my game. I thought no one would like it. I was sure Kyle had developed a very good game. He'd become even more popular than he already was, and everyone would laugh at me, like always. Our games were supposed to come out in the app stores the next day. That night, I couldn't fall asleep. I thought, I wish I'd never gotten involved in this. I must have passed out before sunrise. When I woke up, it was past 1 p.m. I had turned off my phone. When I turned it back on, texts started pouring in. I was flooded with messages and my friends were congratulating me. Girls loved my kawaii characters. The winner hadn't been announced yet, but judging from the text, everyone was sure I was going to win. I thought about Kyle's game. I downloaded it immediately. He'd made a platform game. It wasn't bad, but it was mediocre. There were thousands of games like it. There was nothing special about it, and I was bored after 5 minutes. It looked like Kyle's game was a huge disappointment, and if I'm honest, it made me happy. I got to school an hour later. When I walked in the door, I was greeted like a rock star. The best part was Olivia running up to me and giving me a hug. "Did you download Kyle's game?" I expected more from him. "No one liked his," she said. It was obvious who the winner of the Kyle versus Ashton fight was. Of course, it was a big deal for me to win the school competition, but the biggest surprise was that the next day, my game had become one of the most downloaded apps. A week later, I logged into my App Store account, and I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw how much money I'd made. If this kept up, I'd be very rich. And it did. Right now, I have quite a bit of money in my Bitcoin account. So take a guess, what was the first thing that I bought, and for whom? If you thought it was for Olivia, you're wrong. I bought a really nice sports car for my math teacher. I'm also giving him 20% of all my earnings. He deserves all of it because the best things in my life are the result of the course that he started. The day I won the competition, I told my parents about what happened. As you know, we hadn't been getting along well for some time. I even had to fight them to be able to finish my game. They never had any faith in me, but they were still my family. I wanted to share how happy I was. We were at the dinner table. I was talking excitedly about the texts I got when I woke up, how everyone was congratulating me when I came to school, and that my game was getting so popular. They kept on eating their food without even bothering to respond. Finally, my dad said, "Okay, so now this game thing is over, right? I think we've heard enough of this crap." I couldn't believe my ears. "No, Dad, it's not over. This is just the beginning." I yelled and left the kitchen to go to my room. That night, it was only the first day, so I had no idea about my game's worldwide success or the fact that I was about to make more money than I could ever imagine. Since I didn't know those things, my family didn't know about them either. I'd only told them about what had happened at school. But unfortunately, they'd let me down. In the days that followed, I found out I was rich, but I didn't say anything to my parents. When my sports car gift to my teacher made it to social media, my mom found out about it. They came to my room. "What's up with all this money? Did you make money from this game? Why didn't you tell us about it?" they asked. Yes, I made a lot of money, and I'm still making a lot. I didn't tell you because I thought that since you weren't interested in my game, you wouldn't be interested in the money I made either. They were both very annoyed when my dad said, "Ashton, we're your family. You're young. You can't even open a bank account. You have to give us that money." I told him I'm buying Bitcoin with the money I make, so don't you worry. I have even more now without lifting a finger. It's been months since this conversation. I haven't given my family a single penny. They keep bugging me about it. They're really jealous because in a few months, I'd made more money than my dad made working for years and years, but I'm still both angry and upset. Everything could have been different if only they'd been happy for me that first day. I can't forgive them because I can't forget how they acted that day. Last night, I caught my dad looking at my Instagram account. He was enlarging and looking closely at the photos I've been posting. I could tell that he was super jealous from the way he was looking at them. I called Olivia and told her about it. She laughed and said, "Babe, I think you're exaggerating. They're your family." And I replied, "No, babe, I'm not exaggerating, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing."
Hi, everyone. My name is Zoe. I'm 15. This is my sister Daphne, who's 3 years younger than me. I love her very much, and I think she loves me too. I mean, we're sisters, But unfortunately, Daphne is very jealous of me. Do you want to know why? Because I'm my parents' favorite. Our parents love me more. And that's why Daphne is so annoyed with me. But please tell me one thing. How is this my fault? It's not like I'm going around begging my parents to love me more. If my sister had the same qualities as I do, I'm sure they'd love her as much as they love me. If we're going to look for someone to blame, it should be Daphne herself. She's been giving me the silent treatment for a long time, as if this were all my fault. But I'm going to tell you all about it now. If you think I'm right, please let me know in the comments because I'm really sad about this whole situation. Until a few years ago, I had no idea that I was in fact my parents' favorite. I never noticed that they treated me differently. One day at dinner, Daphne asked, "Mom, what's the PIN code on your phone?" When Mom said, "Why do you ask, honey?" Daphne told her, "Just say it." So Mom said, 2006. Then Daphne turned to our dad. "Dad, what's the password on your phone?" When Dad said, "Same as your mom's," Daphne said, "So it's 2006. And whose birth year is it?" Mom replied, "It's Zoe's." Daphne turned to me. "That's right, it's your beloved daughter Zoe's." I think my parents figured out where this conversation was going. That's why they didn't say anything. However, when Daphne said, "Dad, could you show us your phone's wallpaper?" Dad replied angrily, "Daphne, could you please eat your food? Where are these ridiculous questions coming from?" All of a sudden, Daphne started crying. "I know that both you and Mom have Zoe's photo as the wallpaper on your phones. Because you love her more than you love me, and I can't really take it anymore," she screamed. I was listening to this exchange in shock. My mom said, "Daphne, you both are our children. We love both of you equally." My sister stood up angrily. She said, "That's obviously not true. Zoe is your favorite child, and everyone in this house knows that," and stormed out of the kitchen. That evening, I thought about what she said. Yes, Daphne was definitely right. My parents were not treating us equally. But there was a reason, or actually many reasons, why they were acting this way. It makes me kind of uncomfortable to say this, but to be honest, if you were to compare Daphne and me, it makes sense that our parents would like me more than her. For example, Daphne's grades are always average. She doesn't do anything to try to improve them. She never does well on exams, but she always has some excuse. Either she had a stomachache, or the questions were too difficult. I, on the other hand, study hard every day. I take school very seriously. I was the third best student in my elementary school and the second best in junior high. When we get together with our relatives, our parents love bragging about my achievements in school. Naturally, they never have anything to say about Daphne. So she's always complaining. "Our parents are only proud of you. They never talk about me. They're always praising you." Does Daphne have a right to say these things? If she worked hard like I do, our parents would talk about her achievements as well. One day, Mom said to her, "Could you go out to buy eggs and coffee and please take out the trash on your way?" True to form, she refused, saying, "You're always telling me to do something. Why don't you tell Zoe to do it for once? Why is it always me?" Mom said, "I'm not asking your sister because she's studying. You're just sitting in your room playing with your phone." To be fair, Daphne does most of the chores around the house. My mom rarely asks me for anything. On the other hand, I take my schoolwork very seriously. As soon as I come home from school, I sit down at my desk, go through everything we studied in class, then I do practice questions for tests. I take a short break in between and then eat dinner. Other than that small break, I study all the time. Daphne is the exact opposite. I've never seen her do homework. I'm not sure she even studies for her tests. That's why I think it's normal that Mom asks her to do the chores. I really don't think the way Mom treats Daphne is unfair. I think she deserves it. There's another important reason why I'm my parents' favorite. Mom thinks I look just like her. She tells me, "We're both very lucky because we both have tiny noses. You also have good style, and you always look good in whatever you wear, just like me." Meanwhile, my dad thinks I'm responsible and disciplined just like him. He tells me, "I'm so glad you take after me. You're going to have a successful career just like me. I don't know where your sister gets her laziness, but it's definitely not from us. And she's going to have a lot of problems in the future because of it." I think both my mom and my dad are especially nice to me because they think I'm like them. Of course, there's nothing Daphne can do about this. It makes me sad to say this, but if she were more like Mom and Dad, maybe they would love her more. Last week, Daphne suddenly came into my room. Since I know she is jealous of me, I could tell right away what she wanted. She came by to check if my parents got me anything new. Normally, if they get me something they didn't get her, I always hide it. But that day, she caught me off guard. Because I love drinking coffee, my mom got me a really nice thermos. When Daphne saw it, she was like, "What is this? Who got you this? Why? Why didn't you get me one? Why don't I know about it?" Throwing a million questions at me, and then running off to Mom to ask her to explain herself. As I said, she's extremely jealous of me and she doesn't hide it at all. So my mom got me a little gift. Why is she getting so upset? Am I wrong here? Why can't she just say, "That's a really nice bottle you got. Enjoy it." But she'd never say that. She has to make a scene and then complain about how Mom and Dad don't love me. If you act like this, of course they won't like you. Another thing Daphne is mad about is the fact that my allowance is bigger than hers. But of course there is a reason for that too. Whenever Daphne gets any money, she runs to the bookstore. Yes, reading books is great, but I mean, come on, she is the biggest bookworm I've ever seen. She buys a new book and finishes it in 2 days. Our mom keeps telling her, "Read slower, don't rush through it." But my sister never listens to her. She has to finish it right away. Because she does this every time, her allowance is smaller than mine. Unlike her, I never spend my allowance. I save it, and then, with a little help from my mom, buy myself a nice laptop, for example. So what's left of the money Daphne spends? A big fat nothing. I don't think she has a right to complain about getting a smaller allowance if she wastes it. One day when I was out, Daphne came to talk to my mom. My mom told me what happened later. Daphne said, "Mom, I think I'm adopted. If I wasn't, you wouldn't be treating me like this." My mom got really sad and she took out Daphne's baby pictures and showed them to her. When Daphne said, "You might have adopted me when I was a baby, these photos don't prove anything." My poor mom dug through all her documents looking for Daphne's birth certificate until she finally found it. Daphne took her time scrutinizing it. Then she went to her room without saying a word. As my mom was telling me all this, she started crying. "I tried so hard, but I'm not sure if she's still convinced," she said. I was so mad at Daphne, so I went straight to her room. "You have no right to be upset at Mom like that," I screamed. She looked at me. Just as she was about to say something, she stopped and said, "I get upset every single day. No one cares about it," and burst into tears. I couldn't stay mad at her, especially since she's younger. I gave her a hug. I said, "I hear what you're saying, but there's nothing you can do. That's how you are. I think you should just accept it." For some reason, that made her furious. She looked like she was about to kill me. "What do you mean?" "I thought for a second that you really got me. You disappointed me again," she yelled. I don't like fighting at all. I left the room without saying anything. Since that day, Daphne hasn't been speaking to me. I'm really upset about being estranged from her for so long, but unfortunately, there's nothing I can do. I made so many attempts to make peace with her, but she always finds an excuse to say no. To be honest, I think Daphne can't stop being mad at me because my parents are still acting the same way towards her. As I said in the beginning, I love her a lot. She's my only sister, but unfortunately, we're not as close as we used to be. And this breaks my heart. Thank you for listening to me. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now so you can get notified about new videos. Bye!